Hello everyone. Today I want to show you how I made this beaded ball earring. These are really easy, quick and fast beaded balls. You don't need much materials in order to make this. I will show you the list of materials that you need to make these balls and to make it into an earring as well. So this is a closer look of the earrings. I use 3x4 rondelle crystals. If you want, you can also use 6 seed beads or any other size of beads that you wish. Now, this is the color sample that I'm going to show you in the video. The list of materials that you need in order to start with one side of a pair of earrings is 1 ear wire, 34 size 3x4 rondelle crystals. If you don't have 3x4 rondelle crystals, you can also use 4mm rondelle crystals or 6 seed beads. These earrings do definitely look good with 8 seed beads as well, but I would recommend don't go any size lower than 8. 1 head pin, 1 eye pin, nylon thread, about half an arm span, and 1 8mm rondelle bead. If you want to write down the list of materials, I would give you 10 seconds to write it down. Okay. My ear wire, eye pin, head pin. This is the 8mm rondelle crystal and my 3x4 rondelle crystals. In addition to that, you will also need a round nose plier and a cutter. If you haven't seen my video on how I bought these, you could always go and check it on my page. In order to make one beaded ball, you will need 30 crystals and 4 beads more for the point here, here and here. So one beaded bead uses only 30 beads. Without wasting much of our time, let's get started with the project. Pick up your thread. This is a 0.10 pound nylon thread. It works fine for me. Now I'm going to just put these beads aside and start. You have to remember one thing when you are making this beaded ball is the right side and the left side of the threads. Now why I'm asking you that is that on the right side we are always going to pick up new beads, and on the left side we are always going to cross beads. Okay, you have to remember it doesn't matter which side, but you have to understand that this is the right side and this is the left side. I'm going to pick up 4 beads. 1, 2, 3, 4. Drop them down. On the left side, I put 1 bead and I'm going to cross my threads in the same bead. Holding the ends of your thread together, I'm going to drop this down so that I have a 5 beaded circle. This beaded bead uses 5 circles in a row, so you have to remember that as well. So this is my right thread and this is my left thread now. If this is my beaded bead, I'm going to if this is going to be the first round of my beaded bead, I'm going to take this bead as 1. I already have 5. I'm going to just imagine that this is my bead number 1, this bead, the bead from where the threads are exiting out. So if that is my bead number 1, as I told you, on the right thread, I'm going to pick up 1, 2, and 3. So if that was bead number 1, this is 2, 3, and 4. Now to make my circle of 5 beads, I'm going to pick up a new bead on my left thread because I have to cross in my beads on the left thread, and then I'm going to cross it in and pull tight. If you will now see, my threads are coming out of this bead over here. So now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to pick up my left thread and I'm going to go into this top bead in this way, and I'm going to pull so that my threads are now coming out of this bead here and this bead here, left side thread on here and right side thread on here. You see? Now I'm going to count these 2 beads as bead 1 and bead 2. So if I have bead 1 and bead 2, I need to pick up 3 more beads. That means 2 on the right side and 1 on the left side to cross in. So keeping that in mind, I'm going to pick up 2 beads on the right side, that is bead number 3 and bead number 4, and then on the left side I'm going to put on bead number 5 and I'm going to cross, so that I now have this 3 circles containing 5 beads each. Now my threads are coming out of this bead, left thread, right thread. I'm going to take my left thread and I'm going to go into this top bead, only 1 bead. So again, my threads are coming out of these 2 beads. On the left bead, left thread, on the right bead, right thread. See? This is how it's coming out. So I'm going to count this as bead number 1 and bead number 2, and I'm going to pick up 2 beads on the right and 1 bead on the left. So if that is bead number 1 and bead number 2, I'm going to pick up bead number 3 and bead number 4 on the right thread and bead number 5 as usual on the left thread and cross it in. You will now have this. Now, this is my right thread and this is my left thread. I'm going to pick up my left thread and I'm going to go into the side bead that is on the left thread. Only 1 bead. Okay? So my thread is exiting out of this right bead on the right side and on the left bead on the left side. Until now we have 4 sets of flowers or rounds containing 5 beads each. So I'm going to count this one as 1 and this one as 2, and as usual I'm going to pick up, if this is bead 1 and bead 2, I'm going to pick up bead 3 and bead 4 on the right thread, and as usual bead 5 on the left thread, so that I can now cross it in. So I have now 5 rounds of beads, 5 rounds of beads containing 5 beads each. Now my thread is coming out of this bead on the top, on the right side, the top and the right side. This is my left thread and this is my right thread. I'm going to hold my right thread and I'm going to take my left thread and go into these 2 beads on the top, this one here and this one here. So I'm going to go into the first bead and then the second bead and I'm going to come out of here. So my thread is coming out on the right side from this bead and the left side on this bead, and I have a middle bead over here. So I have 3 beads on my threads, 1, 2 and 3. In order to complete my circle of 5 beads, I need to put on 2 more. So on the right thread I'm going to pick up 1 bead, that is bead number 4, and on the left thread I'm going to pick up bead number 5 and cross through that. Cross. So you have now 6 rounds of beads containing 5 beads each. My thread is coming out of this top bead. This is the right side, this is the left side. I'm going to take my left wire and go into the bead standing next to this one. So I came out of this bead. Again, my threads are coming out on the right side, on this side from this bead, and on the left side on this bead. So I'm going to count this as 1 and 2, and I'm going to pick up the 3rd bead and the 4th bead on the right. This is the 3rd bead, this is the 4th bead, and the 5th bead on the right side, on the left side, and I'm going to cross that in. If you can notice, we are already starting to make a dome. Now, my thread is coming out of this bead on the left and on the right. Holding my right thread, I'm going to pick up my left thread and I'm going to go into 2 beads. So if my thread is coming out of here, I need to go into this middle bead and the side bead. So I'm going to go into 2 beads. See? I was coming out of here, I went through this bead and this bead. So I have like 1, 2, 3 beads on my thread. So I need to pick up 2 more beads, 1 on the right and 1 on the left, to complete my circle of 5 beads. I'm going to pick up 1 bead on the right, 1 bead on the left, and cross through that left bead. Okay, so here it is. My threads are coming out of this bead. I'm going to continue the same thing. I'm going to go into this bead and the next bead on the left thread. So holding on to my right thread, I'm going to go into 2 beads. That is this bead and the bead next to it. So I was coming out of here, I went through this bead and the next bead. Okay, so on my thread there are 3 beads, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do the same thing on the right side. I'm going to pick up 1 bead, and on the left side I'm going to pick up 1 bead, and then I'm going to cross in the left bead. Pull tight. My beaded bead is going to complete with 2 more beads. So if you can see, my thread is coming out of this top bead. I'm going to continue the same way. I'm going to go into this bead and this bead on my left wire. So I'm going to go into this bead on the left and then the side bead on the left. So my thread is coming out of this bead on the left and this bead on the right. So it's like 1, 2, 3. I have 3 beads on the thread. So I'm going to pick up 1 bead on the right and 1 bead on the left and cross through them. See? My thread is coming out of this bead here, my right thread, and this is my left thread on this bead. Now holding on to my right thread, I'm going to pick up my left thread And I'm going to go into 3 beads this time because this is the last round. I'm going to go into this bead, and the bead next to it, so that I am going into 3 beads. So I'm going to go into this bead and the next 2 beads on the sides. So initially we are coming out of 4 beads. 1, 2, 3 and 4. So in order to complete my set of 5 beads, I need just one more rondelle, and this is the last bead of my 30 beads count. So when I pull it and cross it around, I now complete my beaded bead. When you are completing your beaded bead, you will notice that there is one open end on the bead. So I'm going to go into these 4 beads on the top so that I go in a circle, and then I'm going to tie a knot over here so that the whole of the 5 beads rounds are now joined together. I'm going to go into this bead on the top, one, 2, 3 and 4. Now my threads are coming out in one side. I'm going to tie a knot, 1 and 2. I'm going to run down into some of the beads so that my knot gets into one of the beads and it's hidden, because I don't want people to see where my knot is. So I'm just going to go into some of the beads so that I get as far as away from the knot. And I have completed my beaded bead. I'm going to take my cutters and trim the 2 sides of the threads. And here you have a beautiful beaded bead. Now, how to convert this into a earring? Take your head pin, eye pin, your wire and your 8mm. You will also need 4 of your 3x4 rondelles. I'm going to take my head pin, put one 3x4, drop it down, take my beaded bead and put it into it. One more 3x4 and there it goes. I'm going to take my round nose pliers and bend my head pin. Take my cutter, trim a last piece, tiny one. Then I'm going to just turn it. Before that, I'm going to put in my head pin into the work, and then I'm going to just press that in. Okay, now into my head pin I'm going to put in a 3x4, a 8mm and a 3x4. I'm going to do the same thing, bend my head pin, trim off my head pin, turn my wire into a loop, add in my ear wire and close my work. And there you go. You have one beautiful pair of beaded ball earring using rondelle crystals. So you see how easy and fast it was. So I hope you like this video. If you want, you can also give me a thumbs up on this video and subscribe to my channel for more updates. Leave me a comment, and I want to show you the name of my shop. It's Sayona Collection. If you want, you can go to Facebook and search for this name, SYONAACOLLECTION. Sayona Collection is the name of my shop. You can order ready-made jewelry over there, and if you want, you can also like my pages and just see if you like something. Leave me a comment, post something there, and I would really appreciate that. So for the time being, I'll see you next time. You have a great rainy season. Have fun, guys. Bye bye.